Okay. One with video. Okay, I'm going to click out of this one. I thought it was going to be faster than that. So the agenda, we got to do it, the agenda, I laid it out. Hold on, let me grab the agenda. Join with computer audio. Okay, so I'm in. Okay, I am in. What? Okay, I'm clicking out of this one. Okay. So, okay, I'm in. And let's see who else. With Isaac, I just have one more question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we're going to be on YouTube Live, correct?
Yes, we are live.
Okay. Okay. So then I am ready. And then when we're finished, Isaac,
I will go ahead and end the stream for you.
thank you. Okay. Okay, so we will go ahead and open up this committee meeting. And it's for the purpose of the executive director search. And we'll call the meeting to order, and I'll do a roll call real quick. So let's see, who is here? Josue?
Present.
Jeannie? Tatiana? Larry?
Here.
Tara? Can you hear me? Shatara?
Can you hear me?
Oh, I can't hear you. Say that again.
I'm here.
Okay, just checking your audio. Martha?
Yes.
Brian?
Here.
Okay, I'm here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we do have a quorum, and we can conduct business tonight, such as it is. So the first thing I wanted to do was to share with you what the process looked like the last time. We hired an executive director. So we started off with, let's see, we started off with, we started off by deciding that we wanted to hire a headhunter. We hired John Kester, and we paid him $16,500 to act as a headhunter for the director's search. I'm sorry. So then after that, what we did was we posted the job, and that was done by John Kessler, which described the Waukegan area. The next thing we did was the executive director job description. So we put all of that out in a document so everybody could see on the board what we were asking for. Then we scheduled for John Kessler to meet with the employees and various schedules of events. He revised the schedule of events, the description of how employee questions and answers would be done. Then he revised the schedule of events with additional information on employee. And these are all of this was done over, let's see, he started the process, or we started the process in October. So we started the process in October. And as you know, we hired Selena in January. So February would have been the new director comes on board. So that was the time frame. So October to February, or actually January. So it was at 3 months. November, December, January, 3 months. So it took us about 3 months to hire an executive director. So then once he met with the staff, let's see. He gave us the steps to select the executive director. And then he did a survey through SurveyMonkey from the employees. He met with the leadership team. And then we met with the community stakeholders. The candidates, they were interviewed. And then she signed her contract. And then the notice was sent to the mayor. So that was the process that we went through. And you can see it was pretty extensive. I mean, by the time we made it to December, we were having a meeting. It felt like every other day. So it is an extensive process. So I'm going to open it up at this point to what your suggestions are. And Douglas, do you have anything to add before we start?
No, I do not.
Okay. All right. So, you know what? I kind of jumped right in, but let's go ahead and take a look at the agenda. Does anybody see anything that we need to take out, or can we have a motion to approve the agenda as written?
Jose, you're muted.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Okay. And then can we get a second?
I second.
Okay, so roll call. Josue,
Aye.
Larry,
Aye.
Shatara, is Shatara still with us? Yes. Shatara? We'll come back to it. Martha? Oh, Shatara?
Oh, Shatara.
A motion to approve the agenda. I mean, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Shatara?
Maybe not.
Okay, I'll come back to Shatara. Martha,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
and I said yes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 carries it. We'll follow the agenda as printed. And with
Sorry, Sylvia,
the
did you,
committee, okay, Shatara?
I'm sorry, I don't
Yes.
know what's going on my computer, but did you hear me saying? I
Yes.
agree.
Okay. All right, I got you.
Thank you.
Okay, so with the committee, we had to establish the reason why we were having a committee meeting. And the other thing is, and it was brought out by Douglas, that it's not necessarily something that we would go into a closed session for. Because we have to be very specific when we go into a closed session. So with that, I need someone to take minutes. Does somebody take the minutes for us?
I'll
You're
take the
about-
minute.
Who said that?
Josue.
Josue? Thank you. Okay. So I kind of jumped and did my report. So with that, I want to open it up to discussion by the board. So,
You
Any
brought up $12,000, or how much was it for the last
We-
one?
$16,500.
Okay, and then the headhunters that you use, are they like related to, or like do they focus in on library field, or they're just like for general for headhunters?
Normally they focus in on a specific position. So for us, they focused in on someone who met the qualifications that we had.
Okay, and then in the years past, when they spent for finding a director, what was the budget like, around the same amount or less?
I think years prior to that, we did not, or the library never went through a process like we went through for Selena.
Okay, right.
So everything is new, and we have all the documentations from the headhunters search.
Okay, and then the other thing too is that based on our budget and that we have less money coming in due to circulation and COVID and kind of like paying for people when really they're not in the library, are we in a financial state where it's okay that we would spend that same amount, or should we look at spending a lesser amount?
You know what? Can I ask if Deb is online?
Deb had sent an email that she was not going to be present tonight.
Oh, okay. And I missed that. Okay. Okay. And then Anna's not here either, but those are questions that we could ask at the full board meeting.
Okay,
The dollar amount we might have to hire an executive director.
okay. The other thing too is that, have you thought about like working with the universities around here that have the library science degree, regarding maybe some of their, I'm not saying so much their graduates, but maybe some of them would be a person with experience where we could get a recommendation from like professors or someone if they know of someone who has recently, either be downsized or maybe their position, or like talking to other libraries in that area to see if there's anyone that they think that maybe was let go from their job, their library, because of economic, like the downturn right now, and or off the university.
So I think that would be a part of that application process, sending the information out so that, we can cover a lot of different areas, specifically universities.
Okay.
It's a good idea. Okay.
And the other thing too is that you don't have to be specific, but the other thing too is, as far as attracting a candidate, because like in Waukegan, okay, that sometimes we make more money. You make more money as teachers than as coordinators. So how does our salary that we pay compare to other areas, or like for the amount of the population for our library?
You know what? I think the last time we did this, we were paying a lot. Waukegan was.
Because I'm right now I Googled like for what library service director salary, and they said 50th percentile is director salary is 117, 75th percentile is 142, and 90th is 165.
Wow. And same size as ours? Did you look that up?
I just Googled it because I thought that since Waukegan's pretty big, I just did a general one. So so that's one thing. But you know what? Then the other thing too is that we could look at like libraries that have the same population as Waukegan, and maybe look at what they're paying them. I would look at the responsibility or the circulation also would be maybe close to our population.
Okay. So then as we write up the contract and also the job description, I mean, if we want to include that, that could be a part of it, our research that we did and what we're looking for.
So like right now I did one, and this said average library director salary is 63, which is, I think, maybe kind of like for a year, or like a year-round position, that seems kind of low.
Agree.
Selena was making $100,000 plus.
Okay.
So we were we were competitive.
Right.
Sylvia, if I can speak, or Martha, are you done?
Go ahead.
I think the salary we can establish. I mean, at the end of the day, I think we negotiate that and not set an established one. So we probably don't want to put that out there, but I think what we should establish is how we want to hire. Do we want to hire a headhunter, or do we just open it up to resumes to this search committee through Rails and our own job board?
Yeah, that's a great point.
That's
We have
true
to
what you're saying, Josue, about, like what different agencies you use. But I know that that based on the salaries, what kind of people you attract to. You know what I mean? So you don't have to be specific, but I would just say, oh, you know what? It's in the area of whatever. Like in case someone calls in, but it is negotiable. You know what I mean?
Mhm. So I guess the question that Josue was bringing up was, do we want to do this internally, or do we want to hire a headhunter?
Sylvia, may I make a comment?
Sure.
Thank you. Well, I'm just trying to recall because I was a part of the process the last time. I'm trying to recall, but it seems like I came in to the board once this headhunter, he had already come on board, so I wasn't a part of all that discussion or decision making. But I can't remember any pro or con about we felt his services were helpful or maybe not so helpful, or maybe we could have done it ourselves, sort of thing. Does anyone have any sort of institutional memory what we thought back on all that? I can't remember either way if we thought it was a worthwhile undertaking to have a headhunter or not.
Larry, I was on the board at that time, and what I think came out was that it was helpful having him only because that was the very first time we actually went out looking for an executive director. So it was good at that time, to hire someone.
Yeah.
But now that we have everything that he did, maybe it's something that could be done internally. I'm not sure, what the structure of the library is going to look like, but, it's possible that it could be handled internally.
How big is your
What would be the difference of hiring the headhunter versus us handling it internally, besides paying that much money to someone outside?
I think probably $10,000, but go ahead, Josue.
What would he bring? Like, what would he look for that we probably wouldn't? Like, what's the difference in this, in his specialty looking for someone?
I think we would get a lot more candidates and qualified candidates at the national level. But that might not be something that we're looking for as a search committee. We might, want to do something more local where we just open it up for people around here and people who see it in general. But I think maybe an option could be to put out a bid for a headhunter and see what we get in return.
It's a good idea.
If we want to pay what we get offered, then we do that. Or if we think it's too high, then we move elsewhere.
That's a good idea.
That's a good idea.
If I may, and I understand that, I don't have, a dog in this fight, and I'm not going to tell you how to conduct your search, but I do think that what Josue just said is something to really consider, which is that you could go out to something like an RFP or an RFQ and ask them, ask some headhunters out there to make a proposal to you about what kinds of services they might be able to bring to the table. And if you do have an idea about, whether, you're looking for a more geographical centered search versus a national search, you might be able to put some of those things out there and ask them to pitch you on whether or not, on what their services are and whether or not, that's something that you actually want to follow through with, or if you think that you're in a better position. Just a thought.
I'm on the Rails library info website where they post jobs. And they do have salaries on there. They put, 75 plus, 65 plus, whatever. And then they put annually, and then some of them put, depending also upon qualifications. So that's another, I say that if you're going to have someone move here, or if you're going to attract people, you really need to know, like, what is the base of the salary, for them to consider, you know, like coming from another area here. But what Josue said about putting it out to bid, that's another thing. And I think the other thing too is that to make sure that whoever you do hire, make sure that they put those questions in place so that don't repeat the previous errors. And the other thing too is that make sure that your policies, you know, sexual harassment and all that stuff is in place before you bring someone in so that they know exactly what's expected of them.
Okay. Larry, did you have more questions? Oh,
Well, if I may, I have a follow-up real quick. I do like Josue's suggestion and Attorney John's input about, you know, putting a bid out there for some potential headhunters and see what they might come up with for us. Just kind of to look it over and see what, you know, what kind of a format, what kind of a, you know, how it would look. So I think it wouldn't hurt. You know, ultimately, we would decide if we wanted to go that route or not. But it'd be helpful, I think, to kind of get started just to see what they could, you know, might come up with
okay.
as proposal, you know, sort of thing.
Josue?
Yeah, I think just so that we don't waste time discussing other things that a headhunter might possibly help us figure out, or that we need to figure out later for a job posting. First, I think we should just motion to put out an request for bids for a headhunter, and then from there we can move forward, because we don't need to set like a salary right now, or you know what qualifications we need. We first need to figure out how we're going to hire this person. I personally am not the biggest fan of spending money to hire someone through a firm, but I think that it might be very beneficial, especially with, you know, our situation that we're in now. And I don't think we even have like I mean, our HR department is only one person, I think, right? So we might need, you know, a little bit more help.
Right.
Mhm. Okay.
So true.
So can I motion
Can.
to, I don't know what the proper way of this would be, Douglas.
Well, I mean, it's the same process. It's just that we don't go back in and say we voted to do whatever. We have to go back into an open meeting and then state that we, you know,
You are in an open meeting,
like to-
so you
So
are in an
a
open meeting.
committee,
So
a committee meeting is the open meeting.
could we have
we've
as
got a
approve it,
quorum. I
approve it as a
don't
full
think that
board next week?
I mean, you could have the full board vote on it next week. You know, I don't think you need to have a final action taken by the committee, but the committee can recommend that this is the action that the full board takes. Or depending on how this committee is structured, you know, it could independently put out an RFP. I don't know how you've structured it.
Yeah, I always thought that the committee takes the recommendations back to the full board.
Right.
So, I mean, you can make the motion,
We can
Josue.
do what we do similarly with the governance committee, where we approve
Right.
the committee and then approve it as a full board. So
Right.
I'll motion to send out a request for proposals for a headhunter for the position of executive director at the Waukegan Public Library.
Okay, we have a second.
I'll second that, Larry. Second.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Is it called a headhunter officially?
I think technically the term is search firm, but headhunter works.
You can switch out headhunter for search firm.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So wait, so we don't have to agree that that's what we're gonna do first before we make a motion to get bids?
I believe the process that we've sort of decided on is to make a recommendation tonight to the full board and have the full board vote next week whether or not to go out to an RFP or to not. In effect.
I found executive recruiters. What about that, Josue? That's what I found.
There are.
Okay, so Josue,
Aye.
Jeannie is not here. Larry,
Aye.
Shatara,
Aye.
Martha,
Aye.
Brian,
Yes.
and yes for me too. Okay, so we'll take this back. Motion made, second, and we do have Six people who said yes. So we will take this back to the full board and vote on whether or not we want to have an executive recruiter on board to help us with the process.
All right.
Okay, so back to discussion. Yes, it's Josue.
I think it's clear when we present this to the entire board that we are not deciding to go with this process, but we're looking to see how much it would cost us as an option.
Okay, so we'll take it back to the full board. Any other discussion? We haven't heard from you, Brian.
I mean, I agree that, so when you mentioned how much it cost before, that was a little jarring, hearing, you know, $16,000 or yeah, $16,000, $16,500. But I think the way we're talking about it right now, just taking it to the full board to see if having them bid on this would be the appropriate way to do it. Because I think the sentiment here is that spending that much money is a lot. But the point was made that in terms of the HR department, it's very small right now. So having some type of outside support might be beneficial here. So I agree with everything that's been said, just taking it in right now.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So anything else? Anyone else that we haven't heard from? Shatara, you have any more? Anything else?
No.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna send out some, we're gonna take it to the board, the full board, to decide whether or not we want to send out bids. And then from that point, if we do send the bids out, then we can determine whether or not we really want to hit, I'm sorry, an executive recruiter or not. And
I
then
want to ask you, are you
Yes.
going to look for, or is someone going to look over that job description before we hire the recruiter? Because that's the first thing they're going to ask you for.
You know what? I have it, and Deb sent it to me. I can send it back out again. I don't have it in, I have it in hard copy. So I don't have the full, and I thought that we could get this whole book, you know, done so that you could get a copy of what was done in the past, but it's a lot of pages.
That's okay.
So it's up to you. If you want this whole book, I'll just take it back over there and see if Susan will make a copy for you. Anybody interested?
But I want to ask you, the job description should be like what, 2-3 pages? How long is it?
The job description is 1, 2. The job description is 4 pages.
Because personally, whenever someone posts a job like at the college or whatever, or even, you know, for the teachers, it's only like, you know how long it is. It's just like 1 page. And then once you bring the person in, you know, other duties as assigned or whatever. So I think that if you give too much, like 4 pages, that seems like it's a lot.
Well, I think we would be hiring the recruiter to help us put together a job description as well.
Exactly.
Part of the bid process request.
But maybe that's something that we need to look ahead of time and kind of like go through it and kind of like say, hey, you know, these are things that we want to add to it or to take out. What about that?
You know what? I can go and ask Susan if she would send you out this. If everybody wants a copy of the job description, I can ask Susan just send it out.
Martha's suggestions are something that we can give to whoever's going to put the request for proposals together and include it.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else on the executive director search?
Oh, wait. Yes.
Okay.
How was the evaluation done or probationary period? Was it probationary period? And, you know, like, was it like the teachers? Is there a incentive? Is there, you know what I mean? Like something related to increasing circulation in their job description?
So those types of things are in here, but it doesn't talk about the evaluation process. And I think that's where we got hung up with the last executive director.
Right.
There was no clear, there was nothing. Well, we didn't have, the oh, we didn't have the actual papers, where we evaluated her. We had those, we did it, we turned it back into the person that was doing it, but somewhere in there, the waters got a little muddy. And
Right.
so we really never gave her that information, but I think that that's definitely something that we need to put in the job description or in the contract, and or either maybe both.
Right. And that's the other thing too, is that what about increasing circulation? Like in other words, what are you going to bring to the table that's going to make our library like increase the circulation of how many people come into the library, events that you're going to do or whatever, or promo or publicity? What ideas do you have to like promote the library? Like maybe that's another thing too, is like I had one of my persons that worked for me, I had them do a sample. Remember how I used to do those flyers, Miss England?
Uh-huh.
So I had my secretary, the people who were applying for my secretary, they had to make up a flyer. I gave them the information and they had to make up a flyer regarding that event. So this would be where we would ask them to make up an event that they thought that would increase circulation or bring people into the library. Like they would make like a promo event. And what would they consider? Because if they blank out on that, then how do we expect them to be able to, bring the library into the limelight if they don't know how to do it?
Okay.
I think that these are great suggestions to have when we're putting together the job description.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay.
Definitely. Okay. Anyone else?
Well, I just have a follow-up here too. So I think what we're hearing here is that basically it would be very important to have any candidate tell us that we would expect them to tell us what their vision is for the library, to move forward, what their vision is. That seems, and I know it's sort of innocuous and big, but visions are that way. The vision of their vision of the library. And the other piece of it too is that going forward, we would want to, I think we would all want to avoid any pitfalls or kind of learn from the past, so to say, constructively, positively, so that going forward, we could hopefully avoid some of the concerns and issues and whatnot that came up ultimately last time. So that's a tricky thing, isn't it, really? But there's a lot. Maybe as board members, we might even recommend to our board, our full board, maybe something like, what are your 5, what do you see as a board member? I don't know, 4 or 5 important traits or important characteristics or important that sort of thing to look for as we look for a new executive director. Sort of just kind of get a little, since we're all kind of thinking, and again with the idea to go forward in a positive way and so we can have good outcomes in the future, long-term good outcomes, so to say. I know it's sort of vague, but I'm just sort of trying to think big here.
I hear what you're saying, Harry. I hear you.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Is there a mission statement for the library? Because I haven't seen it.
Yes.
It's on the website.
Okay, but it's not like on the door or anything in the library when you're coming in, right? No, it's not posted anywhere in the library, right?
No.
No, it's not, right?
I'm searching the library. I know. No. Josue, you were gonna say something?
A suggestion. I think we're wasting a lot of time here discussing what we want to see in a new director, what vision. We can have that discussion when we figure out the hiring process, because first, we don't know how we're going to hire this person yet. So we have to, wait for the request for proposals to come in, and then decide whether we want one or not. And then we can start talking about the hiring process. But I think if we want to start talking about that as homework, each trustee should put together, what they want to see in the hiring process and what kind of director they want to see, so that we can all submit it and then talk about that later.
Right, but Josue, whatever executive recruiter you bring into the picture, they're gonna ask that, that right off the bat. What are you looking? What's your, what are your goals? What are you looking for? What do you expect me to ask this person? Do you want to have a committee? What do you want me to have them provide to me for me to consider them? So that's another thing too, is because if we don't even know, then how are we going to tell the recruiter what to look for the person? Get it? It's kind of crazy.
So you're both making very good points. And I think that, yes, we have talked about, a lot of the different pieces that go into hiring an executive director. But yeah, we have to decide, do we want a headhunter or not? And that's really the first thing. And if not, these are good conversations, because it kind of gives us an opportunity to kind of air what we're thinking. So, I mean, if everybody could, I'll send you out this job description, and if you just look over it and kind of, decide in your mind what, you think the director should look like and what the library should look like, and as we move forward, we can say to the headhunter or, whoever's going to be doing this, these are some of the things that are like burning issues for us.
Right.
And I think there are specific recruiters for libraries. I'm pretty sure
Exactly.
we probably use one of those if we do go with a recruiter.
Right.
I still think that we would be working with them to draft the job description. I mean, who's going to write the request? Is that usually Douglas or is that staff?
Given the sort of uniqueness of the position,
Right.
ordinarily, this is probably going to come to me. Or, I mean, obviously it's the board's decision.
I would
The one other,
send it to Douglas, because I think that you're going to be with us through the process. And we obviously can't include the current acting executive director. I'm just, to keep him out of this
Right.
conflict of interest.
Right. I'm not assuming, he has said that he would be applying for the position. So just for fairness, I just think that it has to be someone else who's neutral. But anyway, moving on, any trustees have any comments or anything?
Right.
Okay.
I thought that all that you sent us from the Tribune, or what paper was it from?
Probably the Tribune, the New Sun.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that we do have more hours than some other libraries that have just opted out of not provide, kind of like shut down completely.
Oh, okay. So let me just kind of backtrack just a little bit. Anything that's outside of the executive director search, you can call me directly and I'll make sure that I discuss it with it's Jeannie now.
That's okay.
Okay, Jeannie, we're on live. So we're getting ready to adjourn. So hold on for a minute. I'll call you right back. Okay. Unless you can get on.
Oh, I want to ask you, regarding the salary, regarding the contract, that's another thing that should be thought of beforehand, right? How the contracts were done? Are they done yearly or once you're in it?
Mm-hmm. So that would be something, yeah, after we do the hiring or after we decide that we want to do it in-house. We have to decide how we're going to do it. If we're going to do it in-house, then we would go and look for a lot of information.
But I believe that's also part of the negotiation process, because you can negotiate with the person you want to hire, whether it's a 2-year contract, 1 year.
Right.
I don't think we have to set that before.
Okay, the other thing, I got a notice stating that we don't have any public comments. So at this time, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Who seconded?
Josue.
Josue, okay. Okay, Josue. Yes or no?
Yes.
Larry,
To adjourn, yes.
Tara,
Yes.
Martha,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
and yes for me. So meeting is adjourned, and I will attend to Jeannie and find out